B ordinance concerning the land development ordinance specifically for short-term rentals. To our consent agenda, we're substituting item 5N, resolution updating the property easement and right-of-way surveys for the Woolmarket Road East drainage. And we're substituting Exhibit only A for item 5Q, resolution regarding fire extinguishers with Southern Fire.
I need a motion to accept the agenda as amended, so moved by Mr. Lawrence. I'll second that again. Any questions from the council?
Yes. I can't support adding short-term rentals here at the last minute again, and I've said this before, there are some topics that a lot of people in the general public follow, and the fact that it's not on the agenda, so those folks who are following it might be here today, although I see a few faces that are familiar, and they are here today. But it just bothers me that a topic such as this is added at the last minute, just for a first reading, I believe.
First reading, correct.
But even so, that bothers me, so I can't support that. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Any other questions?
I'd like to add that I actually am in complete agreement with Mr. Tisdale. This is a topic that has a certain magnitude to it that will have an impact on a lot of people's lives and businesses here in Mississippi, or in Biloxi, excuse me. And for us to not have advertised that to them to be here, I agree. I think that it's inappropriate, and I assumed we were going to do a workshop to discuss these proposed changes.
Absolutely. We were asking for a workshop next week, 10 o'clock workshop, if all are in agreement with that, if this passes prior to the second reading. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the agenda as amended? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 against. Dr. Tisdale and Mr. Deming. Agenda accepted. Okay, we're going to move on to the presentation agenda, Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Yes, next week, 10 o'clock.
10:30.
10:30. 10:30 next Tuesday on the short term around.
You're not going to be here?
Okay, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome everyone to our second meeting in April. So before I turn this over to Ms. Hunt, let me read this little special proclamation. Whereas the city of Biloxi Excel by 5, and other local organizations, in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, are celebrating the month of the young child, April 2019. Whereas these organizations are working to improve early learning opportunities, including early literacy programs that can provide a foundation of learning for children in Biloxi. Whereas teachers and others who make a difference in the lives of the young children in Biloxi deserve thanks and recognition. Whereas public policies that support early learning for all children are crucial to young children's future. Now, therefore, I, Andrew Fofo Gillich, Mayor of the City of Biloxi, do hereby proclaim the month of April as the month of the young child. So congratulations, Susan, and all the work that you do, and she's got a presentation.
Microphone. But before we start, I do get very emotional when it comes to young children. I'm a former school principal. Matter of fact, some of my children are here today. David Shoemake, we're so proud of you. He's dying because I did that. But what I'd like to do is all of you that are here today that work with young children, that's our schools and our child care centers, I want you to please stand so everybody, and you people that are standing in the back, come forward so everybody knows where you are. Please stand. Those of you that are dealing with our children birth to 5. Thank you. not you. Thank you. Some of our child care centers could not be here today because some of you know when someone's absent, they got to pull a shift. So they could not be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Lisa Wold. Lisa is with me as well with Excel by 5. So when your name is called, your center is called, if you will come up, Mayor Gillett, you are to make the presentations. I will just call the... Okay, Benton, you have a job. Thank you. Oh, one. Do I get one of those?
No, ma'am.
Let me get out the way.
Casino numbers, huh? You see?
Yeah, is that the thing that Stacy puts out? That's what report is the one we get.
Yeah.
Comes in. It shows that we're $26,000 above budget right now.
Thank you. Thank you, City Council.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt.
So Mayor, now you're going to do the longevity awards. First longevity award is for Tanya Abear. 15 years.
Yep, stay up here.
And Karen Lucy Brazier, Clerk of Council, 35 years.
That's right.
Concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, we're going to move on. No departmental reports. We're going to move on to the council reports. I'm going to start to my right, Mr. Barrett.
All I have is last Tuesday we had a ward meeting. Several of our department heads came out. Thanks to those of y'all who were able to make it and address the constituents in Ward 7. We'll be having another one of those in September, probably the second Tuesday in September. But to those that made it, thank y'all so much for coming out. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Glavin.
I know I've said it many times in the council meetings, but I want to just recognize the Biloxi High baseball team. They're nationally ranked in the top 10. They're the #1 team in the state of Mississippi, ranked by sports writers. I know we have Scott Delano in the audience, or we did. There he is back there. I know his son Matthew is on that team, and among with those other fine young men are doing a great job representing Biloxi, and the coaches and parents and the charisma that it creates is just magical. So we can continue it. If you haven't been out to a baseball game, get out there. They're getting ready to start the playoffs, and we wish them the best of luck. That concludes my report.
Okay, Dr. Tisdale.
Yes, I want to commend Chief Miller and his staff, and Chief Boney, just did a very good, solid job with spring break this week. The area around the Coliseum is ground zero for a lot of events. That happens to be in my ward. I was out and about several times each day during spring break, and the police department was very responsive to any suggestions or comments that I made, and I appreciate them for that. I think there might have been a few thousand people less than expected, but you still have to plan for whatever may show up at your door. So again, I just thought they did a very, very good job. Nothing's ever perfect when you have a party for 30,000 people and it's not your party, but you're responsible for the safety of all who attend. So good job, Chief, and Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. Mr. Nimitz.
Unfortunately, I was in Houston this weekend, so I didn't get to participate in spring break. Chief, do we have any numbers on that? Thank you. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thank you. Ms. Newman?
Yes, we had a fantastic turnout at Eastern Hillard Park, as usual, even with the threat of weather. And we will be having a Ward 3 meeting on Thursday, April 25th at 6 p.m. at Donald Snyder, so I look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newman. Mr. Lawrence?
We had two big events last weekend. We cut the ribbon from Machado's Botano. You know, that's what the mayor said he wants everything to look like. You know, it's kind of hard to tell an engineer and architect and them how to do anything, but, you know, you kind of hard at it, poor folk. And then we went and ate the cultivated oysters at venues. They're not real big and everything, but they're not bad. You know, to think they could do what they do in 8 months, that was pretty impressive. And that was at venues right on side of MGM Park, so that turned out pretty good. And the last thing, we got the volunteer year award and everything tonight, so y'all need to come to that. And I only saw one thing on TV, that one bald-headed guy twerking on top of his truck. I don't know, was that you, Paul?
George, I'm sorry, George. Say that again.
I said, they only had one bald-headed guy on top of a truck twerking. I was just wondering if that was you.
Finished fifth in my category, white guys over 65. Thank you, George.
That was the
I don't know if I have anything to top that. I want to also thank Public Works for getting out there. They went beyond the call of duty, putting out cones, putting them back up, things like that. Worked a lot of overtime, so kudos to Public Works out there. And that should conclude my report. All right, we're going to move on to the public agenda. Citizen comments, a total allotted time of 45 minutes, 3 minutes per person. And I'm going to start to my left, and the young man there, we want you to go ahead and speak first on that. If you would get him the microphone.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Bob Pierce, P-I-E-R-C-E. I live at 437 Sailor Drive, Biloxi, Mississippi, 39531. Do you need the phone number?
No, sir. No, sir.
I'm here to request the council keep the zoning the same. I came to Biloxi in 1995 to work at the Biloxi VA as a physician. And I've been over there and I'm retired. And when I came here, I needed a nice, quiet neighborhood with nice homes. And I located on Sailor Drive, built a home there on a 10,000 square foot lot. I would like to request that the lots on the Bertucci property be 10,000 feet or more, like they are in my neighborhood and the adjoining neighborhoods on the north side of Atkinson Road. If the zoning is changed to commercial or whatever those letters stand for, it's going to decrease the value of my property and all my neighbors. And so I would like to not have that happen at 83. I can't start over very well. So the request from Dr. Bertucci is that he wants to build apartments and condominium and small square footage homes, not square foot of the home, but of course square foot of the lot, on 5 foot lot edge size, and in my opinion that's going to decrease my property value immensely. And that's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else to my left would like to come up and speak? Left first. Anyone to my left would like to come up and speak? Yes, ma'am. And again, please state your name and address for us, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My name is Sharon Pierce. I live at 437 Sailor Drive. And I just wanted to say that I see here that Phase 1, which is going to back up right against my home in the back, is going to last for 2 years. Construction in the back of my house for 2 years. Then we go to Phase 2, which is going to last 4 years. And then Phase 3, 6 to 8 years. That's a lot of construction, a lot of noise, a lot of dirt, and I just really am not looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else to my left? Okay, I'm going to come over to my right. This is open. 3 minutes, please. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure, Solita Square. Hey, I live on Briarfield and had the pleasure of being involved with Spring Break, whether I wanted to or not. Let me ask you this. Let's do a short experiment. Nobody move in the room. Nobody. Nobody move in the room until I open up the gates that grant you right-of-way access. Don't move, nobody, not bathroom, not anything, grocery store, medicine, nothing. That's how I feel as a resident on Briarfield. We live on an inlet, we're trapped. The only way that we are able to get on and off the threshold is Highway 90. So when they open up the back corridor for the Coliseum, is a way that grants us residents, tax-paying residents, City of Biloxi tax-paying residents, let me add that, to things that we want to do in and around the city. I'm not involved with spring break. I don't make any money off of spring break. I just came in town because I had somebody in my family die in the Ethiopian crash. So I've got a bunch of things going on. I just want to get access to my city, the city that I pay taxes for, Harrison County, and City of Biloxi taxes. I didn't call my councilman, Councilman Tisdale, let him know my frustration, because I, as a resident, would like to gain access. Not on Thursday night, not on Friday night, but the whole weekend. We have to reinvent the wheel, guys, because obviously these individuals who are coming to patron our fine city, the Gulf Coast, we love it here, but they're staying later. So when they're staying later, that means we have to spread out our resources so that on Sunday we are having police, all the officials that we need that create help. And, you know, so in case something happens, people get into fights, accidents, people need to be taken away, locked up. We have to do better for our citizens and for our citizens who live on Pine Grove, okay? Because it's not fair, okay? And we have to think about it, and we have to get citizens, residents who live on there to talk and be in these conversations with you, the mayor, honorable mayor, your board, and the police chief, because I saw on YouTube, the police chief said it was all respect to the police chief, it wasn't enjoyable. I was in spring break whether I wanted to or not, and that is something I did not want to incur. We had E&M towing, impersonating officers, telling us residents that we weren't allowed to grant access to the right-of-way that was open for us. A lot of people were turned away, so they were like, where do we go now? Highway 90? It was blocked off. They had partitions up. So what do we do? Don't move in this room, please. Sir, do not move. Because that's how it feels as a resident living on Briarfield Avenue. I'm asking for you guys to reinvent the wheel, do better, spread out the resources because they're staying later.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Anyone else to my left? Okay, I'm gonna move over to my right, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Patak. I live at 429 Sailor Drive. I have written, I have campaigned, I have petitioned, and I'm trying to object to Dr. Bertucci's planned subdivision, or planned whatever he's calling it. And the first thing I'd like to do is tell you that every one of you, thanks to Miss Lucy Brazier, has received a copy of this deed restriction. Okay, I'm going to read it right from the top and right to the bottom so everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. If anybody can't hear me, I will yell. State of Mississippi, County of Harrison, deed restriction, Book 222, page 437. As further consideration of this conveyance of grantees and grantors, agree that it shall not convey the property description attached heretofore. And there is a property description which I will not read because it's really detailed. Anyway, that for 35 years from February 2nd, 1989 or until February 2nd, 2024, the property which runs 600 feet to the west of the west boundary of Ed Saylor's property, bounded on the north by Back Bay and on the south by Atkinson Road, will remain a R1A zone. By gentleman's agreement between Mr. Ed Saylor and Gregory E. Bertucci, MD, the zoning is restricted to R1A for the aforementioned period of time. This plot of land is thus encumbered, and the restriction is binding on Dr. Bertucci, his family, heirs, and on anyone who may purchase this property.
This restriction further grants to Mr. Ed Saylor that no attempt will be made to change the zoning of the aforementioned parcel by Dr. Bertucci, his family, heirs, or anyone purchasing this piece of land until after February 2nd, 2024. This is a gentleman's agreement made for business consideration with Mr. Ed Saylor and should be considered sacred and legally binding on all parties involved and on any parties that may take title to the aforementioned piece of property until February 2nd, 2024. Signed, Gregory E. Bertucci, MD. Sworn and subscribed to me on this day, 13th day of July, 1990. Sandra M. Richard, Notary Public. And this is in the Harrison County Land Records. And I don't even know why we're here trying to get it rezoned. According to the official document, Dr. Bertucci must wait until February 2nd, 2024 to change the zoning. However, if he chooses to build a low-density community with homes similar to those bordering his property, I don't believe we could or would object. No commercial, no apartments, no condos, no townhouses, no zero lot lines, according to the deed of restriction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I've been trying to say this forever.
Anyone else on my right? Yes, sir. Come on up. Okay. I'll get you on the next one.
I'm Joe Patak. That was my better half. If this thing goes through, there's going to be a heck of a lot of doggone problems on that property, especially with traffic. I mean, you can't build a doggone left-hand turn lane over there on Ackerson. There's no room. Just a few concerns that we're going to have. I'll read them off here. I'm not much of a speaker. Due to the high density of this project, the infrastructure will prove extremely inadequate. 231 units, as they are calling them, could potentially add 462 more vehicles and 663 toilets at 2.5 toilets, bathrooms per unit. Just think of the sewer system. Add to that, commercial positions, 43 acres isn't nearly enough. Please picture Ackerson, Potts Ferry, and Obey, all are 2 lanes. Near this intersection is apartments, single-family homes, and a retirement home. Don't forget the bridge. School buses, morning and afternoon, garbage, recycling, and special pickup trucks every week, interspersed by delivery from UPS, FedEx, UPS, dozens of lawn care crews, and current local traffic. Fire engine and ambulance make regular runs to the nursing home, the retirement home right there on Ackerson. These streets are already congested. In the morning, mid-afternoon, evening, these streets are jammed with work, school, and local traffic. If the bridge goes up, this can force the roads to back up nearly a mile all the way to Pass Road. On Saturday, the safety arm to the bridge got stuck, and traffic needed to be rerouted, forcing many onto Bertucci onto Bertucci Boulevard, filtering into Ackerson, which others made U-turns right in the middle of Potts Ferry. The traffic going through there, if the bridge ever goes up, gets stuck again, in and out, it's not going to be able to move. Secondly, what I'd like to say is, I understand the state of Mississippi's got a law against cutting down certain oak trees. Scraping the doggone property of all the trees in there is against the law, especially those that are covered by the law. Why not leave the doggone trees? Build the doggone subdivision that encompasses these trees, like the homes that are in Saylor, on Linda, on Melissa Streets. You can use these trees, build the homes around these. You don't need a doggone cookie-cutter homes lined up. Those homes are not going to be low density. They're high-density buildings. There's a lot to think about here. It's mainly the problem is going to be the traffic out there. Nobody is going to move. We know there's going to be a problem, and we ask the council, please, I ask the council, I ask you, please, look hard at this, because it's going to be terrible with the traffic problem especially. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, come on up.
Good afternoon. Jim York, 1664 Beach Boulevard, Biloxi. I'm here to come speak about short-term, like I'm usually here with a lot of people in the room, but we went by our playbook this time, and the playbook is looking at the city council agenda. We looked at the city council agenda, we didn't see anything on the playbook, so a lot of folks who were out of town, out of the state, never came in for the meeting, who probably would like to have been here to speak also. So I just kind of want to state that. In regards to the text amendment to land development ordinance, there's a lot of good items in there. I mean, there's a good way to police both on the city side and also on the folks like ourselves who, you know, do the short-term rentals. But where I have a real disagreement is taking away the allowed by right for commercial zoning and now have to go to conditional use for approval. And let me explain that to you. I want to buy another condo. So if I go out and try to buy another condo, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to put something on that sheet of paper that says, I want to buy the condo as an investor, but if it's not approved for short-term rental, I'm not going to buy it. So it makes it very difficult where I'll have to wait 2 weeks to a month to find out through my contingency if I actually can buy that piece of property. Contingencies are kind of a roadblock to investors, and it's also going to be difficult if I want to sell my property, because now I have a certain group of people who will purchase it only for the sheer fact that I have to get a contingency against it. You know, each and every time somebody wants to buy my property, if they're an investor wanting to come in and grow the city of Biloxi. I just want to say one more thing. If I was to go down the street and buy a commercial building and I wanted to open my barber shop, I could go down the street, buy that commercial building, go down to the city, get my license, and I could be a barber tomorrow. Why can't it be the same for short term? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Dennis Smith at 1664 Beach Boulevard, Oak Shores, and I'm here to speak about short term. And the thing, the only one thing I want to talk about is the fact that conditional use is the policy and it has a purpose if someone in a residential area or anyone wants to apply for it to use their unit as short term. Always, historically, Biloxi has allowed commercial to have the right to short term with the proper papers, business license, and inspections. Well, if you take that away, you're going to destroy property value. People won't buy, people won't sell. It's going to be difficult. And people who've invested years ago, 20 years ago, they're not here today because they didn't know about this. This is a secret or something. I don't know what happened here. But at any rate, what's going to happen is you're going to severely curtail business opportunity in Biloxi, and people who want to do this, well, they're not going to buy a unit here. So it's just going to decrease the property value, and people who've already put their money in them can't get their money back. And that's really all I want to say. Other than that, everything's just fine. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Anyone else? Did I miss anyone else in the room? Come on, sir. Mr. Hengen, you next.
Paul Grimm, 424 Sailor Drive. My neighbors have pretty much covered everything. I'd just like to make a few extra points. As the newest resident of Sailor Drive, I was unaware of this before I purchased. Had I been aware of it, I wouldn't have bought the house. This project will definitely ruin property values on that street, especially if Bonneville Drive is opened up. Sailor has had problems in the past with the road. It's been repaired quite a bit, and additional traffic, especially construction traffic, would further damage that road. One thing no one has brought up is the fact that Pops Ferry is supposed to be open to Highway 90. That will only increase the traffic flow on Pops Ferry, which cannot currently handle rush hour traffic in the morning or at night. It backs up from the bridge down to Pass Road twice a day, and just as far on the north side. Atkinson Road backs up past Sailor Drive, and to put 2 more entrances for this size of a development onto Atkinson's Road, if the bridge goes up, accident, anything, you're going to have gridlock. It is not and should not be approved at its current level until the new bridge is constructed. And I don't even think that's on the books, is it? So this is going to cause havoc in the area. It's not going to enhance the area, and the traffic alone that it creates with the traffic that is there could have a negative effect on this project. No one's going to go into a highly congested area to visit shops and restaurants or even buy a house. So the low-density housing in that area would be great. It's his property, he has a right to use it and to develop it, but not at the expense of his neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hinton?
Since Felix brought up that there'll be a workshop next week, I have some things for you to consider. My name is Wayne Hingen. I'm an attorney in Biloxi. My offices are at 979 Howard Avenue. And I would ask that you consider prohibiting short-term rentals in all residential zones. Now, what that means is moving the ordinance paragraphs that include RM 20 and 30 in areas where a conditional use can be granted to those where it is absolutely prohibited. Couple of reasons for that. Most, if not all, intended to or were by management originally required to be single family, owner occupied, just like those of us that live in a neighborhood with a yard. They're just a vertical subdivision. It changes the deal. Y'all do not need to be complicit in changing the deal for those owner occupied residents. It's not a motel. A motel is a business. Many of the RM 20 and RM 30 areas are right next to or surrounded by single-family areas. Too big of a risk for you to allow the possibility of conditional use being passed, and they have this motel, because I'm going to call it short-term rental is a motel. I'm going to ask that they not be allowed in any area that is residential. The risk is not only to the single-family resident who has a yard, it's a risk to the city of Biloxi. We don't need to interfere with single-family residential areas. Last thing, please consider taking baby steps. This is the first time there's been a lot of controversy about short-term rentals, so this is a big deal. You don't need to throw it all together and make sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. Baby steps would be to do the logical thing. Residential is residential, commercial and business is commercial and business. And it is that simple. It's the difference between business and residential. I would even say that they're asking, in short-term rental terms, for a one-unit motel in a single-family residential neighborhood. Please don't allow that to the families that live there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Did I miss anyone else in the room? Okay, with that being said, we're going to we're going to close public agenda. We're going to move on to the policy agenda. Lucy?
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for property currently identified as 2330 Atkinson Road.
Need a motion on that?
Yes, I would like to suggest and make a motion that we table this for a public hearing.
You want to call for a public hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moved by Ms. Newman.
I'll second that.
Second by Dr. Tisdale. That is the first reading.
Well, if you're going to call for a public hearing, we need to vote on it.
We need to get a date on it.
We need to vote to be
Okay.
able to proceed.
Okay, you want to vote on the public hearing? Okay.
You made the motion for,
I just would like to give time to the residents, hopefully at a night meeting, be able to have a public hearing to where we can hear from the residents and both sides, as well as from the developer, get some facts from each, their concerns, and that way they can have a voice, and we can get the facts from the developer on especially the gentleman's agreement, things like that, and that for the council can hear all the details before making a decision.
Okay, Ms. Newman moved the public hearing, Dr. Tisdale seconded.
Yeah,
Dr. Tisdale?
I really don't have much to add to what Ms. Newman said, other than there are a number of moving parts in this proposal, and it might be good for the council to hear them all. Attended the Planning Commission meeting, and it's there are a couple of different opinions, but there are a lot of issues involved, not the least of which we're finally getting some traction, however slight, on this Pops Ferry Bridge and acquiring property and all that stuff. And at some point, this high-rise bridge will replace the current Pops Ferry Bridge. Now, it could be 5 years from now. It could be another 25 years from now. I believe it's 15 years in the works right now. So there's just traffic is an issue, but I think it would be best to conduct a public hearing. Thank you.
Ms. Newman, do you have a date in mind? Date and time?
Whichever.
We're required to publish this 3 times since it is a zoning change, and there's a 15-day requirement. So, Jerry, being that the night meeting in May is the 7th, we may be able to make it. Give us more time. Well, they're wanting it for a night meeting.
Night meetings, May, June meeting, June,
Okay.
because
If
it's
we
going to
can't-
take 15 days.
If we can't do May, we'll schedule it for June.
Yeah, tentatively, June.
I would think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it's going to be. Any other questions? Any other questions, Ms. Barrett? The 7th of May?
We only have 15 days. Today's the 16th. I mean, that gives us over 20 days.
Published date.
So do we have a date yet? Has anybody mentioned a date?
Are we going to go to 7th? We're going to go May or June? Okay. Okay. Any other questions concerning this?
Yeah, can
Go
I
ahead.
suggest that
Go ahead, Mr. Demme.
Can I suggest that we just today set it for June, which would ensure you guys have the amount of time, we can all put it on our calendar right now and be prepared for it, instead of having something unsure and everybody else has to keep looking around to see what's going on?
That's fine, we can do that.
I think that's best.
June 4th?
I think that's best. Okay,
So we're looking at June 4th then, and that's a night meeting at 6 o'clock. Would you want this public hearing before then?
You want to start at 5?
You want it before the meeting?
5 o'clock?
We could do it, Ms. Newman's question is that we could do that conducted during the meeting, could we not? Just put it at the top of the agenda, right after we open the meeting or whatever. Does that work?
You could also call for a special meeting.
Special meeting at 5 o'clock?
Couldn't they, Peter?
5:30? Okay, special meeting at 5:30. Okay, any other questions? All in favor? 6-7-0. Going to move on to policy agenda B. Lucy?
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment from A agricultural to NB business, neighborhood business, for property identified as 1751 Pops Ferry Road.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Glavin.
I'll second it.
Second by Dr. Tisdale. First reading. Hey, we're going to move on to policy agenda B.
Ordinance to amend the LDO specifically for commercial uses, thereby modifying requirements for short-term rentals.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence. I'll go ahead and second it. And we have a meeting next week at 10:30 on this item. And that's the first reading.
We have a meeting.
Resolution C, Lucy?
Resolution appointing David Shoemaker to the Biloxi Civil Service Commission.
I'll move it.
Seconded.
Okay, who moved it? Moved by Mr. Barrett, second by Dr. Tisdale. Any questions?
I'd just like to say that.
Go ahead.
David is a great guy. He served our city in the police department for over 25 years, and I think he's a great selection for this position.
All righty. Any other questions?
Dude, where'd you get this great guy from? I've been knowing David a long time. He ain't that great of a guy.
I'm going to call for the question. All in favor? 7-0. Congratulations, Mr. Shoemaker.
You make a little speech? That's what it.
Yeah, does he want to make a speech?
Yep. We need to see if he can talk.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion on that.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Dr. Tisdale. Second by Ms. Newman. Any questions, George?
Yeah, met with Mike Lynn yesterday, and we were talking about the three things on a point. They're kind of backwards the way you vote on them. Does that need to be changed? Like 1055, I mean, you got to put something in effect before you take the bid, so it should be corrected, like and put it in the correct order, or does that really matter? Those three things on a point cadet. Marina.
Yeah, let me try and add to what Councilman's saying. There are three items that are really related here. They're consent agenda. 5M is in Mike, 5O is in Oscar, 5P is in Papa. That's old Marine Corps talk. So, but they're really not in the right order. It would be easier if we started with P. That is, that's receiving the money, the $375,000 from the county. That's the second and quarterly increment of additional funds. And the mic, yeah. So that's P. So that brings us the $375,000. Then where do we spend it? Well, we spend it first with a Mike, or M, 5M, is accepting a bid for J.E. Bories for repairs to the marina. And we put the rest of the money in O, which is a new capital project for the marina repairs. So we create a project, and then we finance the project with the money from the county. Again, there are three steps. One, receiving the $375,000 from the county. Two, creating a new capital project for repairs in the marina. Three, awarding the contract to Bories to do that work. And then the residual money goes into another capital project, which is 995 sediment removal. The long story short is we got $375,000. We dumped $175,000 into sediment removal or dredging, and the $200,000 went into repairing the marina.
I know, just cleaning everything up, that's all. I was just think you put it in the right order, that's the best way to do it. I know sometimes it's hard the way you get these things, they come in all day, a week long, and but I'm just saying, to make it correct, I just think it should be, it's not changing anything, it's just put, like you said, it correct. That's what you did, that's where you got the money from, that's where it's going, pretty
And
much
to
it.
reset, this is the second increment, so $375,000 came in the first quarter, now $375,000 has come in the second quarter. In the first quarter, we put that money into the electrical repairs in the Point Cadet Marina, which is ongoing today. And then in the second quarter, we got some more money. We put it into two projects, one additional dredging and two additional repairs to the marina. So we're doing what we told the county we were going to do. We're investing this money into repairs and improvements in the marina, or marinas.
No, we're doing it right, and going in the right place, everything's right, I just said, order the resolutions themselves, that's all.
I have a follow-up question on that. So the chart that we recently looked at where we have permitted canals that are permitted but not completed. Is that money separate from these resolutions today, has nothing to do with this today?
We have one capital project for, and it's project, if you can tell by the number 995, it's an old project. So that capital project was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's where we had put the county port bond money to do sediment removal or dredging. A lot of that has already taken place, and I sent you all a chart showing what had taken place and what still has awaiting. So what we're doing is we're just adding additional. We can have multiple funding sources in the same capital project. So that's what we're doing, is we're adding this county money into that same project to give us an opportunity to go do some more dredging.
So the Tideland money that the legislature just allocated, is that going to be positioned for the permitted?
Right, it's promised, but it won't be received until the fall. And when it does, we'll come back to council and add it to that same capital project to do additional dredging.
Okay.
And what we're doing is basically, we got a good price that's good for a couple of years, and as we get some additional funding, we just amend the contract to order more of the same at the price that was bid.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, George?
Yeah, Peter, on this why, can you explain exactly what we're doing? That's the Clay Point property. I thought we had got out of that.
That is a resolution authorizing us to be able to use that for parking for the air show.
To use what? What parking where? It's on the.
We don't own that property. It's the property owner is letting us use their land for parking for the air show. And we did, I think the last week or so, we've done 4 or 5 of these parking agreements. Just like we did for the Blue Angels, this is for the air show, May 4th and 5th.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Newman? Mr. Deming?
I have nothing further other than being up on
Okay, Dr. Tisdale?
Nothing.
Mr. Glavine?
I have nothing, but I'll be recusing myself from items C and Z.
Which one? What is that?
C and Z.
C.
Okay, and Mr. Barrett? None? Okay, and I also have none. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call for the question. All in favor? Okay, 7-0 with the exception of C, Mr. Deming and Mr. Glavine recusing himself, and what is the other one?
Z.
Z. Z. Mr. Glavine is also recusing himself of that. Z. Z as in zebra. Z. Zebra. Okay, we're gonna move on to code enforcements. Mr. Creel?
First item on the agenda today, Case A, Harold D. Bayliss, 1524 Miller, that should be Miller Street. That case has been resolved. The second case on the agenda, item B, Mary W. Bowles, 540 Beach Boulevard, still in violation.
Okay. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of Mary W. Bowles? Is anyone here to speak on behalf of Mary W. Bowles? We'll consider that matter closed.
The next item on the agenda, item C, Bria Investments, 283 Deloney Street. This property is still in violation. What this is a foundation that was put in without a permit. It's been there for a number of years on a piece of property where there's already a house, and this was put in for another house, but it's zoned single-family residential.
Is anyone here to speak on behalf of Bria Investments? Okay, come on up. Yes, ma'am.
I had come in here to see could they give me more time. 'cause
Okay,
they had-
speak into your mic for me, please.
I had come to see could they give us more time to finish it. We had started, we cleaned up the tree and stuff like that, but they didn't have on the paper that we had to do the slab. And I talked to him the other day, and he told me to come here to see could y'all give me more time.
Okay, how much time do you think you need?
At least about 3 weeks. At least
Let's-
after Easter,
Would it be okay if we give you 30 days?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, I'll move that we give her 30 days. Second? Uh-huh. Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Give us your name and address, please.
Gloria Booz, 14536 Madison Street, Gulfport, Mississippi, 39501.
Okay, I'll move, did you move it? Moved by Mr. Lawrence, I'll second it.
Some discussion? Just
Yes, open it up for
very
discussion.
Briefly, I don't know, Mr. Creel, did you have any other comment other than that she says she needs more time? Is that all that's necessary? Can she? Okay, that's fine. Good deal. All right, thank you.
Okay.
That's fine.
It was moved by Mr. Lawrence, I second it. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay, 6-7-0. You didn't get her name?
You didn't get my name?
Could you speak into the mic for me, please?
Gloria Booz. You need my address again? Madison Street. Boose.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, item D, Jean P. Grace, 1761 Vaughn Street. This property is still in violation.
Okay, is there anyone to speak on behalf of Ms. Jean P. Grace? Okay, come on up, Mr. James. Give us your name and address before you speak, please.
First name is James, last name is Grace. The address is 1761 Vaughn Street, West Biloxi, 39531.
Okay, Mr. Grace, you told us have you done anything on it?
Yeah, I was just seeing the current date on this. These were just taken when, 15th? We've been working in the yard, okay, yeah. Yeah, we've worked on the yard. I'm trying to see what the problem is now, though.
Okay, have you cleaned it up?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's just a matter of the inspectors coming back out there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I'll do is, we'll give you 30 days just to make sure you clear it up with the code enforcement.
I'll move that.
Is that okay?
That's good.
Okay, moved by Mr. Lawrence. I'll second that. Any questions from anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Okay, 7-0, motion carried. Okay, gives you 30 days to satisfy the code enforcement. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item E, Greenwich LLC, 281 Stennis Drive. This property is still in violation. That's it.
Okay, is there anyone to speak on behalf of the Greenwich LLC? Anyone to speak on behalf of Greenwich LLC?
The owner's out of the country for the next several weeks. What I would ask for is an extension of 60 days. When the owner returns, she'll complete cleaning the property. Jerry, there was another picture up there that kind of showed the adjacent property that she had cleared. You see on the right side of that picture, all of that looked like the front of the property there, the tree shrub line on the left side. So she's had that cleared, and there's a ditch right there that she wondered if the city can do something to clean some of that up, but I think some of it's still on her property that she's responsible for. So she's assured me she'll have it taken care of when she returns to the country. So I'd ask for an extension of 60 days. Thank you.
Okay, moved by Dr. Tisdale for 60 days. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Deming. Any questions? All in favor? 7-0, motion carried.
Item F on the agenda, Gozie M. and Reuben Little III, 376 Belvedere Circle. This property is still in violation.
That's it, okay. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Reuben Little III? Anyone here to speak on behalf of Reuben Little III? We'll consider that matter closed.
Item G on the agenda, Social Brothers Incorporated, 156 Dorries Street. This property is still in violation. The majority of the property has been cleaned up, but the last thing that we've had trouble getting removed are the remains of this tree trunk that's out here. So if council gives us approval, we'll have that removed.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the Social Brothers? Anyone here on behalf of the Social Brothers?
If they cleaned everything up, did you tell them about the tree trunks?
Yeah, it's right there. It's.
No, but they didn't know
cut
about
the-
that, supposed to remove that.
Yes, sir. They cut the grass. It was addressed in
They
the
cleaned it
notice
all
we
up
sent.
and kind of
them.
hauled it, because they didn't remove that.
Everything but that. Yes, sir.
So what you want to do?
I'll give them 30 days. I think they'll remove that.
Okay, moved by Mr. Lawrence for 30 days.
Second.
Second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? All in favor? 7-0, motion carried.
Last item on the agenda, H, High Trend, 1663 Pringle Circle. That case has been resolved.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Creel. Need a motion on the routine agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Tisdale,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions, George?
Yeah, I got both of them here today, so we should have twice the good news. Walt, Key, come on, put it on us. So everything's up to date, running good? All right, that's good, appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions by any other council members? Call for the question, all in favor? 6, Mr. Barrett, you voting? 7? 7-0, motion carried.
So moved.
Move to recess, motion by Dr. Tisdale, second by Ms. Newman. All in favor? 7-0.
We have another meet.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we conclude that one.
You want to stretch your legs and come back in?
Yeah. Let's get it over with, or what do you guys want to do?
Run 'em.
Need 2 minutes? What you guys want to do? Dive right into it?
Let's go.
Let's get it over with. All right.
Open up the thing, let's do it.
All right, I need a motion to open up this special meeting
Come on.
called by the mayor. Huh? Okay, well, let's take 5 minutes for Lucy.